Welcome to another episode of the Relax Just Love podcast, vegan edition. I am with Dr. Mari Mitrani. I didn't butcher it,
Hi,
didn't I?
no. How
Very
you
nice.
doing?
So she is the Chief Science Officer of Organicell Regenerative Medicine.
Yes, I
That's quite
am.
the title, by the way. Huh?
Uh,
It's your business card must be like this long.
yeah, you know what? Thanks to COVID, we've transitioned to digital business cards. So now it's easier. You see my face, and then everything loads into your phone. But yeah, I'm the Chief Science Officer and co-founder of Organicell Regenerative Medicine. I am a physician scientist. So I am a MD and a scientist.
So you are an MD, so you are a medical doctor.
Yes.
So you were a generalist, I would imagine, or did you specialize right off the bat?
Yeah, I specialize in neurotherapy. So that's my PhD in neurotherapy. So I study the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system.
So you're a bit of an
It all,
underachiever, is what I'm hearing. Okay, I see. I understand.
yeah. I told you I'm a big time nerd.
Yeah. So why didn't you? So you did. Were you ever in a hospital setting, like helping? Because from what because
Yeah, I mean, when
would
you
you?
go through training, you
Yeah.
do have to. Our last year, our internship year, is a full blown 365 days in a hospital, and you're just changing specialties, but you get to taste a little bit of everything. And yeah, shifts before the shifts were like um, cut down to actual normal hours, let's say. We were having like really long shifts.
I was going to ask because I know in Quebec, I know a few medical doctors, and they're mostly specialized, like anesthesiologists, for example, and they were speaking about the hours that they used to do, and it's absolutely crazy. I don't even understand how that makes any sense to do that to someone when they have to save lives eventually. How can you be that tired and still expect to perform the way you should be performing?
Yeah, and I think that's why the law passed, and I would say recently. It's not even 10 years, where everybody that's doing shifts have a limited amount of hours, where we know and understand that no human is able to perform at their best if they have not slept. And we have to deal not only with the physical amount of work that is standing and running and doing surgery and whatever it is that your specialty is, but you're under a lot of emotional pressure, like internally. Physician burnout this year has been very important topic, and I think finally we're actually putting all the eyes, the heart, and the specialist on it. There was just a summit of ending physician burnout carried on 2 weeks ago, and it's insane because we don't get to talk about physician suicide and medical, like people that are studying medicine, like medical student suicide levels. It's insane, and females have even more increased percentage of that. So it's like it's time to really narrow down what would make us become a better professional. Because and it's so funny because they were saying, imagine a truck driver or a bus driver, right, that's in charge of all those people. They have limited amount of hours, and here we are as doctors, our idea of thinking that we're superheroes and not humans, nor normal humans. But that's just how education has pushed us. But so I think there'll be a better future for our colleagues, because we deserve a little more time to rest.
I can't remember. I read there was a book called Why We Sleep by a neuro. What is he? I can't remember, but he actually runs sleep studies, and he was talking about the history of doctors and how it's one single doctor that was training other doctors or other students to become doctors that started this whole thing to do like 12 hours or 18 hours shift. Just it's like almost an ego thing And he was saying how it makes absolutely zero sense, because there's no way your capacities to think are there in an emergency situation. There's no way.
Yeah, and I think that's why some, and I don't know throughout the world, you know, I know the US changed that. You're saying Canada changed that. Ecuador, where I come from, not much has been cut, but throughout the world, the same way all medical students and physicians that are going through training are put to the exact same pressure. And hey, we need to open eyes and say we're not superheroes, we're still humans. And after this pandemic, I mean, it's hit us all for sure, but healthcare workers, the ones in the front lines, so this has been unimaginable. I really cannot. I have so much sympathy for all my colleagues that are there, that I try to be as verbal as possible. You know, we were never ever in the wildest dream trained to take on this kind of war, and you know, left there with no support.
Is that one of the reasons why you didn't continue in a hospital type of setting, or because you made your choice on your 5th year, right? I think it's 4th or 5th years that you were saying.
Yeah, you graduate as an MD and then you decide what you're applying for as a specialty. So you have to become an MD to then look for your specialty. I honestly, like, life really threw a couple of curves on my end, and I really thought first, I for 7 years I thought I was going to be an OBGYN. After that 1 year on the hospital, I said there's no way I'm going to continue this kind of life. But I was looking more into the clinical setting. My dad is a physician, he has a clinic, so I always did shifts there, you know, day clinic. So I was running their med spa. So I was really into anti-aging and do all the things that we can do and add. And I really thought that's what I was going to do. And then, you know, life is beautiful and just throws you different things. And so grateful it did, because where I am is I think it's where I've always wanted to.
So what made you do it? What made you, because you said you're a co-founder of sorry, Organicell. So what made you and your partner start it?
So we, as we were working on anti-aging, met a group of physicians that were working with stem cells. Back then, it was their protocols were only on the patient's own stem cell. That's called autologous stem cells. And we were able to bring all of our contacts and information from the US, using the protocols from these physicians, into a new clinic that we opened in Ecuador, because back then we could not practice it in the US. It was like the rules were really, really strict. Just the word stem cells was like this big drama. So
Playing God, pretty much.
because it just, and it's still, people don't understand that word does not only mean, stem cells don't only mean embryonic stem cells, and that's what people usually associated with. So in Ecuador, we're able to work with the patient's own stem cells implanted to the patient, to the same patient, and we're like, really, that really changed our lives, because we were able to impact so many patients and see from quadriplegics, paraplegics, strokes, you name it. It was like just a very large amount of diseases that usually don't have a solution in medicine. And we were just improving the patient's quality of life, meaning we were not curing anything. But when you have a patient that cannot move their limbs, arms or legs, and all of a sudden they start moving them, it's a miracle to them, their families, us as physicians, everybody that work with the case. And that's what really moved us. That's what really made us say, hey, we're into something. And it's really early on, worldwide, and we should stick through this and learn, honestly, start learning what it is, how can we improve, what can we do to impact more and more lives. And that has become our mission and our vision of impacting the quality of lives of patients that don't have a solution in our normal, regular medicine.
That's a beautiful thing. It's if you seem to be living your conviction, if I can say it that way.
Yep,
Is
definitely.
that why you went the vegan route? Does it have anything to do with what you found, like what it does to the body? How what's the, as an MD, or as used to be an MD at least, what made you change your diet, or was that beforehand? Because you said before the podcast that you were going on something like 28 years. And I'm not
Yes.
going to reveal your age, but you're a bit old. You have a couple more years than 28, right?
Just a little. So I was fortunate to be raised in a family where my dad's a physician. My mom's always helped him in the clinic. So they've like always managed the clinic together. And when my dad was in first year of med school, he got introduced to a different way of treating patients, more the preventative route that they usually teach us in med school. And, 45 years ago or 48 years ago, when he went through med school, that was very unique. And he said, wait, there's another way to see medicine. And he started really diving in. And by the time they had us, the kids, nutrition was one of the biggest things that he recommended to his patients to change their life. Now proved with so much scientific data. And, so many techniques, natural medical techniques that he learned throughout the years from different parts, different congresses and things that he have attended to. He's a professor and he is unbelievable, but that is how they raised their kids, in a really clean nutrition. But we still ate some white meats. And when I was 13, I read an article about global warming and how the gas impact of animal agriculture actually is worse than all the cars and planes. And so that was 28 years ago so you can do the math. Damn.
Oh no, you just revealed your age. Oh no.
I'm very proud of my age. I'm okay. I'm happy. So it was then when I said, wait, even though I never ate red meat or cow, pig, I still feel like I am impacting on this global warming. Like they're still, this chicken are producing manure, methane is being produced from this, and if I can cut that down, why not? So I tried it for a day, which became a week, which became a month. And I'm fortunate that in my house there's always a variety of salads and other things that was not the fish or the chicken, the centerpiece, right? There was always a variety. Coming from Ecuador, we are very biodiverse. Our fruits and veggies are, you can't even imagine the color, shapes, forms in your everyday market, right? Which only happens here on a farmer's markets on a Saturday. There is an everyday constant. So it was really easy and accessible for me to make that change. And then I went through med school being a vegan, proving to all of my professors that it was something that it was viable. Well, they were teaching us to be careful with the vegans and vegetarians because they come with deficiencies. Meanwhile, everybody's dying from a heart attack. So it just did not make any sense. And I was there to prove it. I was there to volunteer, like take my blood out and run a panel side by side with one of my friends that eats all of this shit. So yeah, always being a very loud voice.
So what happened when they actually did it? When they did run the panels? And they compared it?
I was never deficient on anything.
It's something I haven't ate meat in like 12 years now, and I still cannot believe that it's still a thing that people And the worst part is that the people that normally believe that are so out of shape. The people that normally tell me, what, you're vegan? They look like they should be vegan. As bad as it sounds, they should go vegan.
Yeah, and what I say is, life is so short, and we should really be enjoying ourselves, and food being at the centerpiece of every single culture. As a physician, let's try to be 80 to 90% of including all the fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds. That will just ensure that you are in a better quality of life, right? I hate the going 100 or nothing, because it's not realistic. We will never get anywhere. And I am here for the animals, believe me. I am here for the planet. I am here for health. So, but I want to make sure that the approach is realistic, and it's just incorporating more, and we can all incorporate more.
So it's interesting. I think I was told recently that most of the vegans become vegan because of health, and then the animals, and then I believe it's global effect, like the effect that we have on our planet. So that's what made you do it. That's interesting. You're the first person I talked to that did it that way.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I did not look at the animal aspect until like until actually Instagram became a thing, and I was on Instagram like really on the first days. And I couldn't, it's not that I did not have empathy on it. I did not, because we're not exposed to the reality that they live, we don't get to see it. But when you get to see it, oh hell, it really shakes you. You can never go back and think in a different way. I mean, like to watch foie gras, like the way that they make those ducks, just they have, oh, it's just like, and everybody should be watching, right? After becoming a mom and bearing a child for 9 months in my belly and feeling that feeling and delivering the baby, hello, that's a whole thing. And then seeing that my body produces milk for that baby. I went to med school. I wanted to become a OBGYN. The experience of learning and becoming were so different. And I was like at so much awe at my body. How can my body actually produce a human, deliver, and then produce milk? It was like, I could not understand. And to think that cows go through that process, being raped, they separate those babies in the first hours. They put this prawn and things for the babies not to approach them. I mean, I've cried as many hours as I've watched those videos, but I've made myself available to watch those videos because I think we have to watch what's happening because we're paying for it. So the more, I think social media has played a big role on me being aware of how animals are treated.
You know what I find interesting? The place where I'm at right now was a rental property. I used to rent it on Airbnb. And the woman that would come and clean, because I wasn't around, she left her breast milk in my freezer. In the freezer. So she finally came up today to pick it up. And it always reminds me how have you ever asked people around you if they would drink the milk from a woman that they don't know? Every single one I've ever asked are like, "Oh, that's so nasty." They're drinking a glass of milk of a cow, which makes absolutely zero sense. The drink you should be drinking, people are disgusted by it. When drinking it from an animal, that makes sense somehow. Somehow it makes sense.
Well, marketing played such a big role that it's like, I mean, for me, like if people are drinking Coca-Cola, right? It's just like, there you go. Like it's just millions of dollars poured into that campaign. And thank God the dairy industry is dying. Thank God we see the numbers going down. We have people just switching into a plant-based milk. Come on, we're 70 to 80% lactose intolerance because we're not baby cows.
Like that's interesting.
it's such a big, large population of humans, a
Yeah.
different species of mammals, that we should only be drinking a certain amount of time from mama's milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty much what marketing has done to our perception.
And if you consider people that are our age, we have grown up, like most of the people our age have grown up on that without questioning it. There wasn't any question in the household I was brought into. They were just, here's milk, you drink that, it's good for your bones.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a different house
Yeah.
where my dad was always seen like the crazy one, when we were green before green existed, when we were organic because before organic existed, and then what he always was so loud about: milk, sugar, white, all of the white flours, all the white salt and things like that. So I was really fortunate to learn it firsthand and to be able to explain it to my friends, because I used to go on play dates and it was like, oh yeah, here comes the weird one that doesn't eat meat.
Do you still feel that way today, that you're a weird one?
I'm a very proud weird one. Because when in restaurants, every time they say, are you allergic to anything, and I'm, yeah, to cruelty, I'm vegan.
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud to say it out loud that I choose not to participate in everything that comes with a circle of exploiting and using and abusing animals. And not only because they matter, but our health matters. And being a physician, even though I'm not every day in my office looking like with the patient's contact, I'm still very much a physician. We're running clinical trials with human beings and still running and analyzing a lot. So, that's just from my perspective. If we can do anything for preventative medicine, it's very, very important. So health is very important. And then we only have one planet. So if we don't start caring about it, well, we clearly are seeing what's happening.
How does it frustrate you sometimes to deal with other medical doctors that still believe that eating all animal byproducts is healthy, like it's part of a healthy diet? Does it frustrate you? Is that, it's not a trick question, it's really...
Yeah, yes, but yes and no. Because again, we're all in our own journey. I have to like breathe in and breathe out. But yeah, there's so many that is like the information is there. That scientific evidence is massive. It's not a little bit, it's massive. It's there. There are number one killers. And I don't like to be the one that imposes information, but I'm always very certain to say a couple of things here and there. If you hear it, good. If you don't, still good, because we're still all in our own journey. So you will only resonate with that when you're ready. And once you do, I have never seen anybody go back in a way that they're full blown into that 100%, because once you know the truth, you cannot unknow it. So, and there's a lot of truth that we need to know.
I think on the diet part, if you're vegan because it's better for your diet, I could see somebody going back to eating meat, because most people don't stick to a diet their whole life. But if you've seen, I saw Earthlings 12 years ago, 13 years ago. That movie traumatized me. And that day I said no more. I stopped cold turkey after that movie, and it was done. I don't know that I could never go back. I could never. There's no way you could put meat in my mouth and me just eat it like it was just food. I couldn't do it. But it's because I do it for the animals. I don't do it. My health, it turns out to be awesome. It turns out that it was a huge benefit, but 12 years ago, nobody was talking about that. Even
Yeah.
vegans were weird. I ate salads everywhere I went. Like going to a restaurant, that was not real food 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Today
I
is a
know.
very different story, but
Yeah, and I love to be creative with that because I go out for dinner a lot in regular restaurants, not
yeah.
vegan restaurants. So I always bring my own little packs that I just add their beans or quinoa or whatever. So whatever they have, just no cheese, no butter, no meat, vegan friendly. Usually talk to the chef, which it's really crazy. Now we're making a big wave.
Yeah. I know here in Montreal is absolutely crazy. We have so many restaurants, and most of them, even if they're not vegan, you just ask the chef to freestyle you something and they will.
Yeah, they accommodate vegans
Oh, yeah.
even better. Yeah,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
agree.
Which movie do you think? I don't want to say. I've often wondered if we showed movies to kids because they're all full of compassion normally. And do you think there's a movie we should show in school to kind of I don't want to say educate, I guess, educate kids on what they're actually eating? Because you can't go too brutal where you don't show earthlings to kids. You don't do that. That's just not right.
Yeah.
But do you think there's a
But
movie out there?
eventually they should be
Yeah.
watching that because they watch at 13. I have an 11-year-old and
Yeah.
she's already watching and reading horror movies. So why is it okay to watch a horror movie and people getting killed and murdered and just blood splatter all over and not animals? I do understand how difficult it is because they do, once they connect deep,
Yeah.
right? So, but I mean, this is the first time somebody asked me this question. So I would say from the ground up and game changers
Oh,
must
it's
be a
a great,
better
great.
approach. I don't know if you watch from the ground up, but it's
No,
also about athletes, vegan athletes or plant-based athletes that were not featured on Game Changers. Game Changers was more like the bigger, more recognized athletes, but from the ground up also has a big surreal pool of athletes that really changed their life, their diet, and their performance through that. And I think that that can be featured any day. Seaspiracy is another one that I don't think that's too cruel
no.
to, and I think it would make a big impact. I love what they did, just to portray that a reality that we usually didn't talk about. We talked about land animals, but bro, from space we're a blue planet, and we're not talking about what we're doing to our oceans. So it's like for me, it was like a very very moving one.
Seaspiracy is a great one, and then afterwards, people should watch an old documentary that's called "Addicted to Plastic." I don't know if you ever heard about that. It's probably 10 years old or so, but it's funny because back then they weren't talking. I don't know that they touched on the fish industry, like the fishing industry's damage, so what they're doing to the water, because they are the number one pollutant of our water source, and Seaspiracy talks about that. But they just talk about plastic and how the technology 10 years ago already existed to have plant-based plastic. And it's not a vegan documentary, it's just a documentary on the way we are polluting our planet with plastic. So I think combine, if you've never seen it, you should
No,
watch
never seen
this,
it.
especially after watching Seaspiracy. I should rewatch it because this is wow. If you put Seaspiracy and then you put Addicted to Plastic to teenagers, I think they'll understand the impact that we actually have on our water source.
Yes, for sure. They're like, I'm telling you, I was so, I wanted to change the world. And that's why that article that I read impacted me so much that I became vegan overnight. That day, I said, there's no way I'm contributing to this if planet Earth is on the line. I was so passionate about changing the world when I was a teenager. I was 13. I kids can watch this. It's okay. I think it is. Yeah, we should be doing that advocacy a little more often with our teens.
I think they should watch a few. I haven't watched animal videos in years because I don't feel the need. And even if they pop up on my Facebook or Instagram, I skip through it because
It
I have a
hurts.
too big of a heart. It hurts me.
Yeah,
Like it
it hurts.
deeply hurts me when I see those videos. So I can't watch them anymore. Well, I don't want to watch them anymore.
Yeah.
But there has to be good ones that are based on animals. They're not as brutal as the older ones where they were just sneaking cameras. Like nobody knew. They're just going there with small cameras and they're spying on what they're doing. But there has to be good ones nowadays that we could show our teenagers.
I don't think there's ever going to be a good one. There's not a human way of killing anybody. So it can't be sugar coated. It can't be the way that factory farming is going. They have these chickens on top of each other. Regulatory wise, they've allowed feces to be okay, a percentage of feces to be okay in final product. Like, what are we, like, what are we, like monsters, not animals, monsters. Of course we're animals, but yeah, there's no way, there's no beautiful way to sugarcoat it.
No, I think you're right. Because technically, if it would have been sugar coated, it wouldn't have had the impact it had on me. So
Or in
that's a
so
good point.
many.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
good point.
Earthlings has done a lot.
So are your kids, because you have at least one child, you have a daughter. I would imagine that's what you were saying earlier.
Yep, I have one 11-year-old
Is she
and
vegan?
she's vegetarian. She's been raised as I was. I don't want to push the agenda too much. I need her to do it on herself. Daddy, I don't think it would go 100% with daddy. And so I'm letting, him also weigh in. I've absolutely restricted the things that I was restricted when I was growing up. And I don't know, let's see. I mean, we're all in a different journey, even my daughter, even though I want her obviously to eat cleaner and healthier. She's still a kid, she's still surrounded by an environment that, um, that's just how life goes. And she's so compassionate, so full of light and love. It's just a matter of time for her to do her own research, for her to come to her own conclusions. So yeah, but she is one of the only kids that eats a variety of fruits, veggies, and nuts, seeds, compared to her classmates or best friends that are only in processed foods and things like that, right? She has a big appetite on fruits and veggies that I'm so proud of.
So your husband is not vegan, if I get that correctly.
Yeah, no, he's more like pescatarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he never was like really big on red meat and things like that. But I guess after joining forces with me, not that I change him, because I always like to not change anybody, but he decided to just eat less of certain things. But again, we're all in our journey and I respect that so much. I mean, I don't like to ever say it's because of me. If I have an influence on my friends and my family of them eating more plants, then I'm happy. Eating less of, that's up to everybody.
Leading by example.
That's me, 100%. Yes.
You and I both agree. I'm not one to tell people what they can and cannot do. Like my girlfriend's not vegan, my best friend's not vegan, but I can tell you that around me, their consumption, just by being around me, their consumption of meat is going so low because there's this stigma that people believe that you can't have great food if you're vegan.
Oh, hell no, not in 2021.
I'm such a better cook now than I was, and I love to cook. I'm so much better now than I was before.
Yeah, you get exposed to a variety of options that you never thought. You're just surrounded by those 4 options of dead animals and that's it. And now it's like, oh, wait, what? We have 80,000 edible plants. Like, let's go. Yeah, for sure.
I got I think we're going on about 40 minutes or so.
Already?
Oh yeah, it always goes by fast. I'm always watching the time because it can go by very fast. Yeah. But I gotta ask you a question. I always ask the same question. If you had a chance to speak to your 14-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Whoa, just keep going. You're killing it, and you're gonna keep killing it. I've always lived through this motto of living every second as if it's my first and last one. And that motto has not changed. And I really, every day that I wake up, I'm very grateful at what I have
Your what,
made
sorry?
with. Yes. And even in this pandemic that has been extremely hard, and it has been hard for the entire planet, not for one group or another. And that has been for me as well. And mental health has been at the line, but still there, I have to focus on the good, because there's a lot of things to be grateful for. So I still feel like I'm that crazy teenager that wanted to change the world. So that's how I feel internally, like a little kid that still wants to change the world.
But that's good. No, who wants to be normal if you get to be weird? Weird is way better than being normal either way, so it's all good.
Yeah, and I break a lot of the stigmas there, being a female, being and looking young, being an immigrant, being working in an area where we're in the cutting edge of regenerative medicine. So being able to accomplish what we've accomplished this year with the company, it's like pretty surreal. Being able to sit at panels with big pharma and talk big shit, talk the big talk. I'm here to break all of the norms.
Very, very good on you. As I was telling you before the podcast, I just found, I never know, is it a Facebook, is it an Instagram page, an Instagram profile? What is it? I never know how to call it. Is it called a
Yeah,
page? Is it
a
called a
page.
profile? It's a page.
Yeah.
I found your page and you were, as I was saying, you were getting accepted. You got a research. I think you were submitting papers for research,
Got
and
accepted.
you get, and that's exactly the face that you made. That's it.
Yes,
That's why I wanted to talk to you. That's exactly because of that face.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah. It's big. I don't underestimate any of the accomplishments that we have had this year. And, as a researcher, as a doctor, we look for those publications. So one more is always amazing.
You're seems like you're doing exactly what you should be doing and you're being successful at it.
Hard work.
Congratulations on that. I'm always happy to see good people do what they're supposed to be doing and succeeding at it.
Thank you. No, thank you. And thank you for a platform like this, because I think as I said, we need more spaces where we can all talk to each other and be real.
I like to show the human aspect. We tend to get too stuck into what we do. We tend to forget who we are behind the role that we play in whatever company that we own or that we work for. So I like the human aspect. Thank you for being, I don't want to say honest, because I got a feeling you're honest pretty much all the time, but thank you for showing your human side. I always appreciate that.
Oh, of course, I'm like this. I'm an open book. So yeah, no, thank you for the space one more time.
Thank you very much. Thanks again for doing this.
My pleasure.